Okay, welcome back everyone to the deep dive.
Great to be here.
So today we are really digging into William L. Weaver's The Great Unraveling, specifically Chapter 6.
Yeah, the promise and the peril.
And what a chapter. I mean, if you've been following along with our discussions, the first 5 chapters were just this wild ride, right? All focused on Jaren Miles.
Absolutely. It was pure acceleration. Down in the annex, that basement lab, fueled by probably terrible coffee.
Definitely terrible coffee. And just, chasing this near impossible idea, the Synton.
The source code of reality, essentially. Found in the noise, in the static, those tiny statistical blips.
Right, that 1 in 10 to the 24 pattern. It was all about embracing the chaos, finding something emergent.
Exactly. The universe felt alive, almost like a story being written, something you could maybe even, edit.
And then, bam, Chapter 6 hits. It's like hitting a wall of ice.
Totally. The whole vibe just shifts. We leave Jaren's humming, buzzing annex and land somewhere very different, very controlled.
Yeah, we land inside the head of Helen Castor. And this chapter, it feels like such a crucial pivot point for the whole Logos War saga, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the ideological foundation for, well, likely the main antagonist, or at least the opposing force.
It reframes everything. We thought the conflict might be, Jaren versus the universe or the Synton itself.
But this chapter makes it clear the real battle is ideological.
Right.
It's Jaren's view versus Helen's view.
His view being that reality is this dynamic, emergent thing, maybe even a story.
And hers being that reality is a fragile algorithm, constantly on the verge of catastrophic failure. And it needs rigid control. Debugging, basically.
So we talked about Jaren's whole information field theory before information as this third leg of reality alongside material and energy, chaotic, creative.
Right. And Chapter 6 shows us exactly why Helen sees that information, that uncontrolled variable, as the ultimate threat. For her, it's all about the stability of material and the predictable application of energy. Information is the peril.
Okay, let's unpack that. How did she get this way? The chapter takes us back. Let's set the scene. 1986.
Yeah, January 1986. We're in this cavernous student cafeteria, and the first description of Helen is just striking. She's an island of absolute stillness in the swirling tide of bodies.
That image is so powerful. Absolute stillness. It's the complete opposite of Jaren, who's always described with words like vibration,
Exactly. He finds truth in the motion, the chaos. She seems to find safety, or maybe clarity, in stillness. In equilibrium.
And the text ties this stillness directly to her philosophy, right? How she sees everything, even her lunch.
Oh, yeah. The lunch detail is perfect. It's described as merely fuel, a necessary input before the next processing cycle.
Just input. No enjoyment, no social aspect, no texture or taste mentioned. It's purely functional.
It's a transaction. Maintain operational efficiency. That's the goal.
It really highlights that contrast with Jaren's theory again. He values the information, the unexpected, the emergent. She seems to be actively filtering it out.
Completely. She focuses only on material, the food itself, and energy, the calories. Things like flavor, enjoyment, conversation, that's all just noise to her. Inefficient data.
It interferes with the main process, and that connects to how her mind feels after a tough lab session. Right?
Clean and scoured. That phrasing is intense.
Scoured, like she's scrubbing away any ambiguity, any subjectivity. It's almost violent.
It suggests a real effort to eliminate anything fuzzy. Whereas Jaren, remember, invited the chaos in for tea. He wanted those fuzzy variables.
Helen wants them gone, obliterated. She prefers rigor, predictability, eliminating variables. It's not just about testing hypotheses for her.
It's like she wants the entire universe to be predictable, testable, no surprises.
And Jaren's Synton, the idea that information can just randomly rewrite reality.
That's the ultimate nightmare for her, the ultimate uncontrolled variable. It makes the system inherently unsafe, perpetually dangerous in her eyes.
But you have to wonder, doesn't that kind of rigidity limit her if you filter out everything that doesn't fit the current processing cycle?
That's the potential flaw, yeah. That's the potential tragedy of Helen Castor. Her strength, that absolute control and focus, could also be her biggest blind spot.
If something truly novel appears, something that doesn't fit her axioms, can she even process it? Or does she just rationalize it as another system failure?
Well, Chapter 6 really lays the groundwork for why she built this framework. It wasn't arbitrary. It's based on moments, experiences that felt like irrefutable proof to her.
The clicks.
Exactly. The chapter structures her development around these 3 distinct moments, these sort of soft internal clicks that programmed her worldview. Let's get into the first one. Okay, so click number 1. We go way back. July 1969. Helen is just 4 years old.
The Apollo moon landing.
Right. And think about how most people experience that. Awe, inspiration, human achievement, reaching for the stars.
But not 4-year-old Helen. How does she see it?
She sees it as the successful output of a flawlessly executed program. She calls it humanity's greatest algorithm.
Wow. Not inspiration, but confirmation.
Exactly. It confirms her instinct. Success doesn't come from dreams or daring. It comes from flawless procedure, managing every variable, getting the predictable, desired output.
That's her foundational axiom right there. The language she was meant to speak wasn't poetry, it was code. Perfect execution.
And this quest for that language of order just continues as she grows up in the 70s. There's that bit about her early schooling.
Yeah, the rural school, the teachers who weren't comfortable with physical sciences treating them like an inconvenient variable.
That phrase again.
Yeah.
Inconvenient variable. And what does she find refuge in?
The rigid structure of arithmetic. Predictable. Provable.
It shows her instinctive pull towards rigor when faced with subjectivity. She needed certainty. But the really telling part is her self-education strategy.
Oh, the Library of Congress system. That's brilliant.
Isn't it? She takes the library, this potentially overwhelming sea of information and noise,
and turns it into a map, an ordered system she can navigate systematically.
And she does it literally. QC1 to QC999, the entire physics section. She reads through it. But more than that, she's reverse engineering.
She's trying to work backwards from the current knowledge.
Back to the foundational axioms, the absolute starting points. She doesn't just want the answers. She wants the unshakable logic underneath.
She wants the source code, not just the compiled executable. QC1, QC2, QC3. It's so methodical. You can almost see the seeds of continuity, her future organization right there. Categorize everything. Understand every variable before you act.
And think about how different that is from Jaren. He's diving into the noise looking for hidden patterns. She's systematically stripping away everything but the established foundational code.
Her method would completely miss the syntax, wouldn't it? Because it's an anomaly, noise.
It'd be filtered out. Eliminated during the reverse engineering process as an error, not a feature.
And then there's her choice of reading material. The Tom Swift versus Nancy Drew thing.
Right. The text points out the gendered expectation. Girls get Nancy Drew mystery, intuition, the Bk1Ch6 classification.
While boys got Tom Swift engineering, problem solving, PZ7 to 8063.
And Helen, no contest. She rejects the mystery and intuition.
She goes straight for Tom Swift. Why? Because he solved problems with engineering. He built systems, controlled variables, and produced predictable, successful outcomes.
Controlled variables. There it is again. That's her mantra.
Right.
Variables aren't opportunities for discovery like they are for Jaren. They're threats to a successful outcome.
Okay, so that lays the groundwork. Apollo gave her the axiom, success is procedure. Tom Swift reinforced the method, control the variables. Now, click number 2. This one feels much more ideological.
Definitely. Summer of 1977. She's 11. She sees Star Wars.
A cultural touchstone for so many kids. But Helen, she processes it differently.
Again, it's about the systems. She apparently forgives the wonky space physics, the sound in space, stuff like that. But
the engineering, the hardware.
That she cannot forgive.
Yeah.
Especially the Millennium Falcon.
The coolest ship in the galaxy.
Not to Helen. To her 11-year-old mind, it's a cascading system failure. A malfunctioning death trap.
Because it's unreliable. The hyperdrive fails, stuff breaks.
Exactly. How can anyone trust their lives to that kind of chaos?
To luck.
To a pilot who relies on intuition. It violates her core principle derived from Apollo.
So if she rejects the heroes and their rickety ship, who does she admire?
The Empire.
Oof. Okay. Why?
Because their equipment was immaculate, their procedures rigid, their outcomes assured. For her, it's not about good versus evil. It's about order versus catastrophic failure.
The Empire represents stability, predictable outcomes.
Precisely. Structure, rules, adherence to protocol, that's the only thing, in her view, preventing catastrophic explosive failure. The rebels, with their messy ship and reliance on the Force, that's just inviting disaster.
And she watches the movie 7 times.
Yeah. The text says it wasn't entertainment for her. It was a manifesto.
A manifesto for stability through rigid control.
It's such a clever way to frame her. She's not motivated by malice or a desire for power necessarily. She's motivated by a profound fear of systemic collapse. She fears chaos more than she fears tyranny.
Which makes her reaction to the central event of this chapter back in 1986 completely understandable, even if it's chilling.
Okay, back to that frigid Tuesday in January 1986. The chapter sets up this contrast, right? The mundane versus the momentous.
Yeah, you have the trivial system input, frost on oranges in Florida, and the completely predictable result, a likely spike in juice prices. The economic system chugs along, predictably.
Input, output.
Yeah.
Very Helen.
Very Helen. And against that backdrop, you have the promise. Krista McAuliffe, the teacher in space.
The first civilian. And the text notes the mission, STS-51L, was an outreach program. Why?
Because the public was getting bored with the quiet, predictable success of the system.
Oh, the irony.
It's thick, isn't it? They introduced a variable, the civilian, the non-expert, specifically to combat the public's boredom with safety and predictability.
Helen must have seen that as inherently flawed from the start.
You get that sense from her wry thought, at least the female teachers have learned to value science. It's dripping with her frustration about prioritizing outreach over rigor. For her, the mission compromised the system before it even launched by introducing that emotional, non-essential variable.
Exactly. And then her own system, her absolute stillness, gets broken. But not by the news of the disaster itself.
Not encounter, the condescending guy in her program.
Yeah, the one who makes jokes because he can't handle her outperforming him. Standard academic garbage, which she normally filters out.
But this time the joke lands differently. The awful acronym.
Need another 7 astronauts. It's brutal. And the text says she recognized it not as humor, but as information.
Information? What kind of information?
Information about the system, not the shuttle system, but the human system around it. It signals this rot, this corrosive cynicism and disregard for procedure, maybe even for life, within the culture that's supposed to be running the program.
It's not just an external threat. The carelessness is internal. It's proof the human element is unreliable.
That's the signal that cracks her composure. It forces her out of her stillness. She has to go see. She runs to her dorm TV.
And she watches the replay. Silently. Over and over.
Analyzing it. The image is grainy, the text says, but the physics were undeniable. This is where her foundational axiom success equals flawless procedure gets shattered.
Because the procedure wasn't flawless.
Worse than that, the cause, the text states explicitly, was a faulty O-ring, a known variable that had been ignored.
Known and ignored, that's the absolute key for her, isn't it?
It changes everything. This wasn't some unpredictable act of God, some chaotic intervention like Jaren Sinton might represent. This was negligence. Pure, simple, human error within the system.
If it had been truly random, maybe she could have accepted a chaotic universe. But because it was a known flaw.
It confirms her deepest fear from the Star Wars analysis. The biggest danger isn't the unknown void of space, it's human fallibility. Arrogance, carelessness, ignoring the rules. That's the variable that causes catastrophic failure.
The promise of reaching for the stars, embodied by McAuliffe.
It was consumed by the peril.
Yeah.
Not the peril of the unknown, but the peril of ignoring what was already known.
And this leads directly to the final crystallizing image, the third click that really locks her worldview into place. It's that visual of the solid rocket boosters.
Yeah, after the explosion, the twin SRBs, separate from the main cloud of vapor. It's described so chillingly.
They continue their elegant ballistic arc into the sky.
Like 2 perfect lines of code executing their instructions, utterly oblivious to the catastrophic failure of the main program they had been attached to.
Wow. That image is devastatingly precise. The parts of the machine that followed their programming flawlessly, they continued.
They represent the perfection of the controlled system. Pure physics, executing perfectly. They are completely unaffected by the human managerial failure that destroyed the orbiter attached to them.
The mechanical parts worked, the human system failed.
And that is it. That's Helen's final, hardened conclusion. Click number 3. The SRBs are the ideal. Rigid, controlled, successful execution. The orbiter explosion is the peril. The messy, flawed, ultimately catastrophic human element.
She sees that the tragedy wasn't caused by pushing boundaries too far, but by simple negligence. Ignoring known risks, sweeping them into an unstable pile.
And therefore, Jaren's whole philosophy, finding wonder in emergence, trusting chaos to reveal order, it's not just wrong in her eyes. It's dangerously irresponsible.
The promise of emergence was a seductive lie.
Because emergence, from this perspective, is just uncontrolled variables. It's instability waiting to happen. The Challenger disaster is Exhibit A.
So what's the only truth, the only safety?
Rigid, unforgiving, and absolute control of the system. That's the only way to prevent failure.
And her personal conclusion, her mission.
She decides she has to be that control. If the human element is the weak point, then she will become the incorruptible failsafe, the ultimate system administrator dedicated to preventing failure by enforcing absolute control.
This is the birth of the Helen caster, who will eventually run continuity. The person willing to do anything to maintain stability, to eliminate those dangerous variables, including maybe Jaren himself.
It's a powerful origin for an antagonist because it's rooted in logic, observation, and a desire to prevent suffering, albeit through extreme measures. She's not cartoonishly evil. She's terrifyingly rational, based on her own axioms. Hashtag tag synthesis and contrast. Jaren versus Helen.
So after 6 chapters, we really have the two poles established, don't we? The core conflict of the Logos War is laid bare.
Totally. You've got Jaren Miles, the poet of the information field. He embraces chaos, sees reality as this living, breathing story.
And then Helen Castor, the engineer of the information field, sees reality as this incredibly complex, fragile machine that needs constant, vigilant maintenance and control.
Jaren finds the Synton, the potential to edit reality's source code. And he's awed, maybe even terrified, by the promise and the power of that emergence. Free will, writ large across the cosmos.
While Helen sees the very existence of something like the Synton as the ultimate proof of peril, if the fundamental laws aren't stable, if they can be interfered with by human arrogance or accident,
then the entire system is fundamentally unsafe. Her reaction isn't awe, it's alarm. It needs to be contained, controlled, maybe even eliminated to protect the existing structure.
it's fascinating how they could witness similar phenomena, instability, unexpected patterns, and draw opposite conclusions. Jaren sees the Synton emerge from noise and thinks, wow, hidden order.
Right. It validates his belief in emergence.
Helen sees the Challenger explode because a known variable was ignored, watches those SRBs fly perfectly true, and thinks, see, only rigid adherence to the known rules guarantees function.
It validates her belief in control. Any deviation is catastrophic.
So the war, the Logos War, it's not just about controlling the Synton, it's a fundamental disagreement about the nature of reality itself.
Exactly. Is the universe something to be unlocked, as Jaren believes, to reach its full potential, even if that involves risk?
Or is it something that must be locked down, as Helen believes, to prevent its inherent fragility from leading to collapse?
Jaren, the poet, values information as the creative spark.
Helen, the engineer, sees uncontrolled information as the primary destructive force, threatening material and energy. It must be managed, neutralized.
It really elevates the conflict beyond a simple good versus evil narrative. Jaren might want to use the Synton to create a better reality, one based on conscious choice and emergence.
But Helen sees any attempt to rewrite the rules, no matter how well-intentioned, as inherently destabilizing. She's fighting to protect the flawed, the functioning machine they have now from the potentially disastrous consequences of trying to build a new one.
And reading her origin story here in Chapter 6, it really makes you look back at Jaren's early chapters differently, doesn't it?
It really does. His almost giddy pursuit of the unknown, his inviting chaos in for tea. Through Helen's eyes, it looks less like genius and more like, well, dangerous recklessness, playing with fire.
If he knew what she learned from Challenger, would he still have been so eager to mess with the fundamental code? It adds this layer of tragic irony.
She represents the potential cost of his discoveries, the logical endpoint of fearing uncontrolled emergence. She's the firewall. Hashtag outro war.
So, yeah, Chapter 6. It's not just backstory. It's the mission statement for the other side of the conflict.
Absolutely. We saw her 3 clicks, Apollo confirming procedure, Star Wars confirming structure over chaos, and Challenger confirming the peril of human error and the necessity of absolute control.
It masterfully shifts the narrative focus. We're not just in a science thriller anymore. We're in a deep, philosophical, ideological war. The stakes are immense.
The source material really frames it, doesn't it? Jaren's universe is like a story you can edit, maybe make better. Helen's universe is a program on the verge of crashing that needs debugging and stabilization now.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a really uncomfortable question as we head deeper into the Logos War.
Yeah. In a reality where both embracing chaos and enforcing rigid control have shown they can lead to disaster. Which approach actually feels safer?
Is it the promise of emergence, with all its terrifying potential for both discovery and destruction?
Or is it the perceived certainty of absolute control, which might guarantee stability, but at the cost of freedom, novelty, maybe even meaning itself? Which system would you choose to live under?
Something to definitely think about. We'll leave it there for this deep dive.
Join us next time as we continue unpacking the great unraveling.